I started second guessing myself a little bit on this road.
I just got off the highway onto a very disused old BLM road. This road clearly gets very little use, but it looks like it should connect. It does look like there's a gate ahead. Fortunately, this one has my favorite little yellow sign to find on a gate. You can go on through, just be sure to close it behind you. Yesterday morning, I left my campsite out in another area of remote Oregon backcountry and traveled to meet up with some friends. Each year, we get together to enjoy a meal at Cowboy Dinner Tree, a unique and rustic restaurant out here in the desert. I camped with everybody last night, and this morning I said my goodbyes and continued on with my solo adventure. Be sure to check out part 1 and part 2 of this series, which started off with some signs I didn't like quite as much, but eventually led to some intriguing discoveries, stunning desert scenery, and captivating wildlife.
A lot of times I wait to air down until I'm actually a ways off the highway and I've really confirmed that it looks like the road is actually going to get me there and is the right way to go. It's looking promising now, so I'm going to take the tires down. Well, first point of interest today is this little canyon that sort of drops down out of the plateau above. It looked kind of interesting in satellite imagery. There's no road that goes up into it, but there's a little side road that gets kind of close. And so I thought I would just hike over and see if I could, push the drone up in there a little bit, get some shots of it. Ultimately, the canyon itself was nothing all that terribly interesting, but on the rim up above on the far side are these rock formations that are unlike anything I've ever seen in Oregon. We normally have this very hard, jagged rock that just does not get eroded down into curvy forms like this, at least not just when it's exposed up on a mountainside. These things almost have a goblin-like appearance. I mean, they're not quite like the goblins of Utah, but they're kind of like little critters up there overlooking the desert below. And that was actually the more interesting discovery up here than the canyon itself.
My plan for today involves getting up to the higher plateau above, up into and beyond those hills. I'm guessing that road right there is how I'm going to ascend, but first I need to get over to it.
So we've been sort of following along the base of this cliff, sort of out in the flat valley floor, desert floor, whatever you want to call it. But I found a road that goes up onto the top of this plateau here and heads off into some other interesting looking areas. So I'm going to see if this road will get us up there.
Sure enough, that little dirt 2-track I was on connected to this well-maintained gravel road that's very quickly gaining elevation and yielding spectacular views across the seemingly endless desert. At the top of the hill lies a whole new, seemingly endless stretch of flat desert that's nearly 1,000 feet above where we started down below this morning.
Are you kidding me? Okay, so we were down, we were following along the base of that cliff there, and then we came up into this opening which had a road which zigzagged up, and now we're up sort of along the top and up, and I'm on a little dead-end spur. It comes up to this sort of campsite here. I mean, I wouldn't camp here, at least not this time of year. The wind is just brutal. But with these rocks, oh wow, no way. Oh, what? What is this? Look at this craziness. This is wild.
This looks like it was probably all one massive rock that has cracked apart and shifted over the millennia, resulting in a network of narrow, shallow slots I just can't resist poking around in.
Well, I just kind of wanted to drive up to this little viewpoint just to see what it looked like. I thought it might be sort of a dramatic view out over the desert, and it is. I did not realize there were these rock formations here, and this rock on the surface looks, you know, just like mundane volcanic rock. It's kind of porous. And then I noticed this other patch of this weird sort of bulbous, like almost just like it was in liquid form and then just froze like that, sort of underneath the surface of the just sort of plain mundane looking rock. And I looked underneath some other bits and pieces, and it just was more plain old volcanic rock. But then this weird sort of reddish, just like bulbous, undulating, liquid looking rock. Really cool. I have no idea what that is. This little side trip up off the main road here just turned out to be way more interesting than I expected. Sometimes you come up with these little things and there's really nothing at all. Sometimes there's really unexpected surprises. It's really worth just doing the exploring, even if you don't know what you're gonna find. All right, I gotta move on here. I've barely scratched the surface of today's adventure.
Another dead-end side road has caught my eye, and I'm curious to see where this might lead. Part of today's plan includes circling the entire base of this small mountain to check out a few things that caught my eye in satellite photos. This disused trail, overgrown with sagebrush, is yet another dead-end spur, this one leading to what looked like might have been an old homestead. In addition to this corral, there are other remnants of structures of some sort. I don't know how truly old some of this is. A lot of it doesn't look all that terribly antiquated, and this corral seems to be built of mass-produced posts and fencing. The birds don't seem to mind. I think these are brewer's blackbirds, but let me know in the comments below if I've got that wrong. Wrapping around the southern flank of the mountain is very slow going, winding through a scrubby juniper forest on a rough, rocky trail. Finally, I've emerged from the trees, though the road continues to be pretty rough and slow going.
Coming up on another spot I had marked on the map along the base of this mountain that I thought might be something interesting. Looked like it might be an old cabin or something, but as I'm coming up on it, I think it's possibly not as interesting as I thought it was going to be. So I had marked this spot on my maps, and it looked, from satellite imagery that maybe it was an old cabin, had been an old homestead site. But then when I drove up to it, it looked like more just like some sort of a barn or a shed for animals. But it does actually seem like it is, some sort of lodging, whether or not it was a home or whether it was just a cowboy cabin for cowboys to stay when they were out here. I mean, it's old, but I don't think it's like homestead era old. This table is like topped with tin. I wonder why.
Most of the collapsed material out here looks more like animal enclosures than any sort of human residence, although an old stove would seem to confirm that somebody stayed out here at least some of the time.
I wonder at what point carving your name and the year into something goes from being vandalism to becoming a historic artifact. Randy loves Robin, 10-4-74, 10-3-75, 10-2-78, 10-1-79, 81, 83, 84, 87, 89, 93, 96, 99, 2005. I don't know. I think someone else is carving those years in there. Is that really Randy who's come back all of those years? Okay, well, I've nearly come full circle. I've wrapped all the way around that mountain, and over there, I think what I'm seeing is I came up across that meadow and then through those trees, and when I came out, I came down on top of that sort of gulch that opened up with those rock formations. There was kind of a nice little camp spot in the trees there. Maybe I'll work my way back to that. The wind is coming this direction. It's been coming this direction all day long and very strongly. On the back side of the mountain there, I did find some other campsites. Definitely seemed like it was more protected because they were behind on the east side of the mountain. Over there would give me a better launch point for heading home tomorrow. I might just go poke up in there.
It doesn't look very far away, but I think it's going to take a while to get there. Okay, I found my way up into that little clump of trees. I know I saw a campsite when I passed through earlier today. Somewhere up in here. Oh yeah, here it is. I thought this might be a bit protected, but it's still pretty windy here.
Also, there is just no level ground here at all. Such a lovely little spot, but I think I might go over to the back side of the mountain.
Alright, I think it's probably only 10 or 15 minutes to the more sheltered campsites I saw on the eastern flank of the mountain. I'd really like to get out of the wind if I can. There's a bit of a breeze coming through here, but nothing like the winds that have been relentlessly pounding me all day long. Yeah, this is nice.
I've got the truck oriented to block the little bit of wind that is coming, so hopefully I can actually set up and cook tonight, maybe even have a little campfire.
several hours of driving today to get back across the state, so I haven't wasted any time breaking down camp and hitting the road. This has been a truly compelling adventure, but it is time to air up and head home.